Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Cornell Hunter. I'm sitting in with the man Tyler Merkovich. Today we're going to take a look at the 2009 Detroit Lions. We all know they can't do any worse than they did last year. How do you see things shaking up with a new coach, a whole new regimen in Detroit?
Matt Millen out. They're trying to forget those years. They changed the uniforms even. But first thing Jim Schwartz does, coming over from Tennessee as defensive coordinator, now he's the head coach. They go and draft Matthew Stafford as their franchise quarterback. And I think they had a pretty underrated offseason, solid draft. So I think this team might surprise people from going from the 0-16 team.
And also, the guy behind Stafford is not too bad himself, and Dante Culpepper. So there's a good insurance policy in case that number one pick doesn't pan out, right?
Finally came back after a couple of knee injuries, after his ACL landed in the third row a couple times. He's back. He should start over Stafford. They're going to ease Stafford, and that's what I think will happen. But a couple additions they made in the backfield. Of course, they have Kevin Smith, who was a great rookie runner last year, running behind a decimated offensive line. They picked up Maurice Morris, who I think could pick up the slack as a backup and get some carries in there.
Did he come over from Seattle, correct?
Yes. Okay. And Terrell Smith, fullback from Arizona, they also picked up. He's also going to help them out. But offensive line is in question. Gosser Sheraloos picked him first round a couple years ago. He's still in question. How is he going to pan out? He needs to get off that bust status. Jeff Backus is their left tackle, and Dominic Raiola. This is a weak unit up front. That's where they have question marks.
All right. Well, we talked about the line. You mentioned Kevin Smith, who I think is a phenomenal runner. What about the targets that either Stafford or Culpepper are going to be looking for? And there's one guy that we all know about.
Oh, when you talk about targets, Detroit Lions, of course, is Calvin Johnson. Finally, they hit it on the head with the receiver they picked. Yes. After they're going receiver after receiver. He's a physical specimen. He could take the short passes all the way. Explosive as anybody. And the thing they did to help him out, they drafted Brandon Pettigrew, who I love, yes, and he's a masher too. He could block, not only catch, so that's also a good outlet for Stafford and Culpepper. But they picked up veterans, Ronald Curry over from Oakland, yes, and Bryant Johnson over from San Fran, both from the Bay Area. They're going to get time right away because McDonald and Furry are out of there. So I think these guys are going to help out Calvin a lot on the offensive side of the ball.
So it sounds like you're predicting some improvement for the Detroit Lions on offense. What about the defensive side of the ball? What about the defensive line?
Well, that's a good question. Defensive line, like I said, the offensive line is decimated. The defensive line has problems. Even though they were in the middle of the pack in sacks last year, they lose Corey Redding. They traded him over to Seattle for a linebacker that I'll mention soon. But they picked up Grady Jackson, who could stop the run.
That's a big guy.
He's in a 13th year. He's going to man the middle. They got Dwayne White playing the outside. And they need Andre Fluellen to step up. He needs to make some contributions at the tackle position. So that's a key right there. The D-line needs to play well because it's got a lot of question marks.
And I really like the kid Dwayne White. He produced heavily in college, made some plays over in Tampa. I think he can have a good year in Detroit. Now let's get to those linebackers. You say that they brought in the guy. Who was the guy that they brought in?
Julian Peterson, the veteran. Also, they bring in Larry Foote from the Super Bowl champions Pittsburgh Steelers. Now they're going to team with Ernie Sims. And he might be a sleeper this year. A guy they drafted out of Wisconsin. They were surprised he went this early, named DeAndre Levy. So they got 4 solid linebackers. I know Peterson and Foote are on the old end, and Sims is not. But, this is something they could build on, these 4 linebackers.
But Sims, I really like Ernie Sims, guy out of Florida State. A bit undersized, but he flies over the field, loves the contact. So that sounds like a very good crop of linebackers. What do the Lions have going on in the secondary where they can make improvements over last year?
More moves they made. They picked up Anthony Henry from a trade, and Philip Buchanan they picked up.
I love Philip Buchanan.
Exactly. And Luis Delmas they picked. First pick of the second round, and he's the highest rated safety in the draft, and they got him in the second round, and he's going to team up with Daniel Bullock, who's an underrated safety. Mm-hmm. So decent improvements, but we'll see what happens. That's still question marks on the defensive side of the ball.
I can't wait to see Luis Delmas. That's a guy, when you put in the film doesn't lie. The guy is suicidal with his body, throws himself around. What do you see with the Detroit Lions kicking game and their special teams and their return units?
Well, return units, Buchanan, he, of course, early in his career, he was great.
Oh, yeah.
Avian Kason averaged 23 yards per return last year, but they're gonna try to find a good kick returner. The thing with their special teams, Hansen was 95.5% from field goal with his field goal percentage. So he's a great kicker, and he's 38 years old. He's old, but as kickers get older, sometimes they get even better. And their punter is Nick Harris. So their special teams unit, they need to get this unit up a little bit because they're going to lack on defense and offense, and hopefully their special teams could get them a couple of wins here.
All right, well, we know last year was something. They made history last year going winless. So with a new incoming rookie class, new head coach, new parts on the defense, what do you see the Lions? How do you see them finishing in that tough NFC North?
Well, that's going to be a tough division. I think they're going to finish last, but greatly improved from last year. I see them 4 to 5 wins. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 5 wins for Detroit. Jordan Schwartz should have this team going in the right direction, and I like Stafford. I think he's finally the future of this franchise that they could rely upon.
Well, I'm sure the Lion fans are happy with that. 5 wins will be 5 more than they had last season. I'm Cornell Hunter reporting with the man Tyler Merkovich. That's your 2009 Detroit Lions team preview. Be sure to visit footballgameplan.com/NFL where you can find more video analysis on your favorite football team.